Hey guys, Shane here. Before we get started today, I want to ask you a quick favor. Please hit that subscribe button and give this podcast episode a share on social media so that we can help more families start, build, and grow a membership of their own. We appreciate that so much. Thank you for listening today. And now on to the podcast.
Hey y'all, on today's podcast, we welcome back Brooke Butcher. Last time Brooke was on the show, she was just starting out and growing her online nursing community. On this episode, we get to celebrate Brooke's growing membership and her incredible milestone. Brooke just quit her job and went full-time online. On today's podcast, Shane is helping Brooke get used to her new self-employed, location-independent lifestyle, as well as growing her nursing membership. You'll learn how to balance your time between business and life while working at home, promotions to help you grow your membership site, and how to know when it's time to go full-time online. You are going to love today's podcast. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sams. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you today, and I'm super excited because not only is this an amazing member of the Flip Your Life community coming on the show, it is a repeat guest. It is someone we know and love, and we are going to be celebrating some major wins in her online business, in her membership world today. Welcome back to the program, Brooke Butcher. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, Shane. Thanks so much for having me.
I am fired up. You're one of my favorite people to talk to. Every conversation we have is always fun and good, and it just feels good. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So I'm really pumped up, and we get to celebrate some amazing things. But we're going to keep that in suspense for right now. Okay. We're not going to give away the farm yet. You got to. That's how these shows work. You got to set up the hook, and then you got to bring it back on the cliffhanger later. So before we get started, remind everyone in the audience, maybe they haven't heard when you were on the podcast before. Tell us a little bit about you, your background, your facts ground. Tell us about you. I told you we just went to the Mexican restaurant. I just ate a bucket of chips, so hopefully I'm having my carb coming now. But tell us about you, your background, and your online business.
You bet. So I started out as a nurse, and then I worked at the bedside for many years, and then I started teaching while I was doing that, and I just realized there weren't a lot of resources for nursing students. And so I decided to create them once I left my position as a nursing professor. And I left it just because the pay is not great. And we didn't have a lot of flexibility with that when we had kids. So, and I've got two girls who are 4 and 6. So, there are a lot of moving pieces with that, as we all know. And so I started creating online resources, and I started with a group of students I was tutoring, and basically just built out what they needed right then. And then they would pass on my information to the new students who were entering into that semester, which was the last semester of school. And so really I've just kind of grown it by word of mouth. But then over the last year, I've built out the content for all of the other semesters. And so now it's gaining a lot of momentum. Sadly, COVID, everyone going virtual has kind of helped with that because it's hard to do virtual nursing school. And so they feel they need a lot of extra support. And the nursing professors that they have in the classroom usually aren't super, they're not tech savvy. They don't know how to teach virtually a lot of the time. So I'm just kind of offering them a lot of resources. So they go in, they can find what they need, and they have cheat sheets and podcasts and videos. And then we have an online community where I do live trainings and answer their questions and things like that.
So you're in Oklahoma, right? Is that where you are?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. So you were a nurse. You went into education, right? For nursing students. And then I believe, weren't you an advisor too? Didn't you advise? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I think we skipped that part.
That was my other job.
That was your other. Yeah, right, exactly. So you were a professor, but then you became an advisor for all the incoming students or something, right?
Correct. So I became a mentor for nursing students. So they were nurses who were getting their BSN, and I just had to do a weekly check-in with them. And I had at least 100 students assigned to me. This was through a different online university. And I had to talk to them every week and basically just like make sure they were getting their stuff done. So
Yeah.
it
So
wasn't
you were
my
basically there.
favorite.
You were 100+ people's weekly accountability
Yes.
partner.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Whether they liked it or not.
yeah, right. Exactly. Which is even worse because they weren't choosing the accountability.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and that's what characterizes, like, what's funny is that's what, like, in my mind, every conversation, because we've done coaching and Voxer and been on the podcast and been in the community for a long time. And that's what dominates my mind is you stressed the freak out about all these appointments. Cause like you thought it was like a virtual thing and it would work with your life and your kids. But then like you realize like I'm literally on a call with these 100 people a week.
Yes.
To keep up with these people, right?
Yeah. They kind of they tricked me at the beginning. Like they said, oh, it's super flexible. You can adjust your schedule, and then it turns out no, you actually can't, and you have to do so many hours outside of 9 to 5. Like you have to work 2 nights a week and things like that, which really didn't work with my family. And then on top of like all the students who did not appreciate my calls, like it made my life kind of miserable for a couple of years.
It's hard to lay that stuff down, man. We bring the baggage with us, like everywhere we go. And this is something I struggle with, not from a negativity point though, because like everybody in the Flip Your Life community wants to be there for one thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I still feel the weight of the responsibility of helping people reach their next point in life, right? And like even if it's all positive, like you still feel that. Now you add like 30% of them are just really not wanting to be there, and those 30% are probably young bucks who don't really like appreciate the mentorship from their elders, right? You know what I mean?
So
like,
true. Yes. Yeah.
So like there's all kinds of variables there that you've always seemed very stressed out about that stupid job. You know what I'm saying? Every time
it was sucking. Like it wasn't life-giving in any way. It was like soul sucking to do that work. And then like to have my kids be like, you're always working. And I'm like, it seems like that because when I work, I'm talking to somebody. So I'm like, shh, get out. Like, you know, that sort of thing. So
yes. It creates those. Well, we've even learned that like we try to prevent that by coming to the office. Like we have an office now, and like, because if you're trying to work at home, there's going to be some of that. And then your kids feel like they're being made second, but really they're not. But there's a boundary and you don't know how to just remove yourself from the situation. It doesn't matter. Right. So speaking of removing yourself from situations, now here's the fun part of the conversation. So we got a message from you recently and you're like, guys, I'm going all in. I'm quitting this stupid job. I'm getting out. And when did this happen? You have quit your job now and you're fully focused on your membership side, right?
So like, so as of the second week of July, I am done with that job. So, and really what happened, Shane, was I put in my notice in June, and the way the college works, like the end of the fiscal year, it hits like at July 1. And then we always have this big meeting where they go over like, this is how well the college did, you know, and then this is your bonus. And so my boss, you know, she was like, why don't you just think about it? You seem a little unsure. And she said, at least stay till the bonus comes, you know.
So so basically like, you can get your bonus.
Exactly. Good. Like, and I was like, you know what? Okay, I can stay like 3 more weeks to get my bonus. And so the big meeting comes around, and I had already put in my 2 weeks. So that way, like we'd have the meeting, I'd get the paycheck, and that would be my last day. And, the meeting comes around and they like tell us, oh, you've done amazing. And despite COVID, like our numbers are so impressive and like satisfaction is up. And then the president of the college like did not say anything about bonuses, which is like when he would typically say, and because of the great work you've done, this is your bonus this year. Nothing. And so then like the chat room's on fire, you know, like what about the bonus? You didn't say anything about the bonus. And he didn't even approach it. Like he didn't address it at all. Somebody in the chat had just been designated to type, there will not be bonuses this year. End of discussion.
My word.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No. And so I was just like, you know, I mean, I don't know, any loyalty like I might have felt or like guilt I might have felt about stepping out of that, it evaporated because I was like,
that's a good point though, Brooke. Like, honestly, like for even when we quit our job, and I was mad at the people and hated my job. I loved coaching football. That was not even an issue. But like there was a guilt to quitting your job that we don't. And I don't know if that's loyalty built that we find to our people or employers or whatever, or is that just the ingrained system that
Right.
is one more barrier to taking control of our lives and keeping us as indentured servants.
Right.
You ever think about that? Like, why would
Yeah.
why even before that, why would you
I
feel
know.
guilty? Right?
I don't know. I know for me, part of it was my students, and some of them still text me to this day, like, I miss you. Are you coming back? I don't like my new mentor. And I'm like,
Oh no.
you're fine. Keep going. You're going to get there.
I got it. You can, look, if you want to hang out with me, it's $49.99 a month. Right.
Right,
Like, come over here. You're good. I love you, but you got to pay for my time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And here's the amazing. I love this story. I didn't know that coming into this. You were talking about it just now, and like dang, you just can't trust your employer. Like, it sucks. Like, I wish it wasn't that way. Like, I strive, and my editor is going to listen to this. Maybe my people think something different, but like, I with our employees, I'm trying to become a leader. Like, I want people, when if they want to leave and they want to go do something else, or they do want to start their own thing or whatever, like, I hope they look back and say, man, that dude was crazy, but he was a good boss. Like, he really tried to take care of us. And when something like that happened, like, we tell our people, hey, we love quarterly bonuses. Like, I want to give a gift every quarter. I want to grow. If we grow, you grow, there might be a quarter we don't grow. And I just say, I can't give you a bonus, but at least stand up and say, look,
say
coronavirus.
Something.
I mean, it's not like in this year of all years, people wouldn't have understood that. I mean, it's, global pain. I wonder if your supervisor knew this.
I honestly don't think she did, because everyone has asked me that.
Yeah,
because she was also like, "Where's my bonus?" Like,
yeah. She's like, "I'm in the same boat with you, and it's sinking. All the boats are sinking right now."
Yes, and she actually was saying, like, "I'm so jealous you get to leave. I wish I was leaving with you."
I planned my we quit on September 27th, 2013, and we got up that morning, and I'll never forget the reason we did it. We put our 2-week notice in on purpose to end on that day. One, because we got paid at the end of the month. So we didn't want to rock any boats with our paycheck coming in. We wanted the last to hit. The second thing was, we had an 8-hour professional development. Kids were at home. The worst. Anybody in education knows this, but anybody's ever been to a training, even in corporate or whatever, like it was going to be 8 hours of reading a PowerPoint. And I was getting text messages from all my buddies. See, I was still coaching. I coached. I quit my job on September 27th, but I finished the season. So nice. I still went to practice every day. I still went to, I coached in games. Like, I did the whole thing right into the playoffs. Last game, I walked in, never coached again. But like, they were texting me, all the coaches. It was like I was Andy from the Shawshank Redemption, and I had escaped the prison, right? And they were like, "Dang it, man, we're up here tarring the roof, and you're out there on a beach in Mexico somewhere." It was hilarious, like dealing with that, like, because it's funny how people are like, "What are you doing?" And then they're like, "Hey, I wish I could do that." It's like,
absolutely, yeah.
It's ironic too that kind of the last experience you had was, this employer promises you a bonus and doesn't give you a bonus. And then you text me like 2 days ago, and you're like, "Hey, Shane, just gave myself a raise, $700 raise, did an email, got some member." And like, that's the difference. It's not about anybody else anymore. It's up to you, and you get to give yourself a raise every day. How cool is that?
Absolutely. And I did again today. And so it's
been
a great week.
It's absolutely amazing. And it's like you've always been you're like a go-getter, and you're like with all the things you have going on, you're like, I'm going to get it all done, and you kind of pieced together and started this membership while you were still dealing with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's like, well, if I could do a few members part-time, what can I do when this is my focus?
Yes.
Full time. And that's the fear, man. That's what people have got to get over. Some people even are in situations where they may not even have a single member, but they could quit their job and they could go all in, and within a month or two, they'd be okay. Have you found that to be the case since you quit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So as soon as I quit, like, I decided to launch a tiny beta pharmacology course, just thinking like, one, it needs to be built out. That will give me incentive to do it. And it's summertime, and I don't want to work on most of this stuff right now.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I did that, and then enough, like 10 members initially, and then it's grown some more, but like, it gave me enough momentum to like be working on it. But I really I feel like I have been thinking that for a very long time. Like, I just need to go all in. I really have no fears that it won't make it, like, because I will do what it takes to make it work. And like I was saying, like this week I had what, I don't know, I woke up with 5 new members, and then I sent you that message, and then within an hour I'd gotten 4 more. And so then I'd sent some more emails and put up a Facebook post. And then in the last 2 days, I've gotten I don't know, 7 more. And so
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm just, it's exciting. It's a little overwhelming because I'm at a spot where like I used to only have 1 semester of students. And so, that's easy because I know their calendar and like, I'm like, this is what we're doing this week. And now I have somebody from every single semester from like all different processes, which is good. But I'm just like, now I'm like, I got to figure out how to schedule this. And once I get it, it'll be just fine. But right now I'm like in that, like, how do I make this work?
Yeah. And the good thing is you don't have to make 100 calls. Like worst case scenario, you can just be like, well, we'll just do a semester every day.
That is right.
We'll have 1 call, 1 hour, everybody show up. We'll talk about it. We're going to go back to our lives and it's all over with. Right. Cause it's scalable now. And
absolutely,
man, I love it. I love this story. This is incredible. Like you quit your job, you find the courage to do it. It starts growing. You're giving yourself a raise. You don't get a bonus, but what would your bonus have been? Like what financially?
Probably like we never know, like 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, right. So you're gonna make you could be making 3 to 5K extra a month just from doing this. You know what I'm saying? You get to control your bonus. You get to give yourself a bonus. Yeah. And that's what it's all about, man. So, well, listen, I'm excited. I love it when I hear this. Like, I actually, when you sent me that picture and you sent me that text and you're like, I gave myself a $700 raise. I actually copied it and I posted it in the flip. We have a board in our project manager called success stories and wins. And I posted that and everybody went crazy. Awesome. And like, it was just fun and awesome stuff. So, all right. So let's talk about what's next. Because I do hear a little overwhelm. I do hear a little management struggles. You got on the roller coaster and you don't get to get off again. So there's going to be that up and down every single day. So what does the membership look like right now? Well, let's back up. Is there anything like mental going on right now, like fears or mindset struggles? Have you found anything now that it's been like almost 4 weeks? So like, have you found anything in the last 3 to 4 weeks that have really overwhelmed you didn't expect, that was different than when you had the safety net of the job, under you? Like what's going on in your head right now?
Mainly it's just like, I'm homeschooling my kids because like we didn't really have another option. It was like just virtual or homeschool, and my kids are really young. I didn't want to just like put them in front of a computer all day. So like it's trying to figure out that and then like make all these pieces work with all the different elements of the different semesters. So really it's just that, and I just need to have time by myself, which is non-existent these days.
How old are your kids?
Piece together 4 and 6.
Oh yeah, the 6-year-old's almost independent enough to kind of give you a minute, but not the 4-year-old.
Right. So, and they do a pretty good job, but like I set my alarm early and I try to wake up, and like it never fails. Like I wake up at 5 o'clock, and then at 5:30, my 4-year-old's like, "What are you doing up so early?" I'm like, "What are you doing up so early?"
No doubt, man. And like last night, so I told this story on another podcast, but I'm gonna tell it again. Last night, I had Anna. So Anna Joe comes in. Life is hard right now, period, this COVID stuff. I mean, it's just like school and it's crazy. Like I'm trying to hire a teacher to work with my kids virtually because I figure if we do the curriculum and they have virtual classes they're teaching, I need someone beside them to help them stay on task. Right. I can't do that all day, every day. So I might have to hire a babysitter or something.
Even if you could, you might.
Even if I could, it would not work out very well, But last night, so Jocelyn goes to cheer with Anna Joe. They're having cheer still. All the protocols, they're wearing masks, they're 6 feet apart, whatever. She comes home and she brings Anna's 2 best friends. Okay. Which is cool. We're always having kids in and out. They just show up randomly now. That's the age we're at. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like the cheer gym is in the next town over. So a couple, it's hard because everybody lives in a different town. So usually that's what happens. We hub up at the cheer thing and people get in the wrong car and you got 5 kids for the weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
So like at 1:30 last night, Anna Joe was fighting with her friends. They were all crying over who was going to sleep in the middle on this pull-out sofa. And it was like, I'm like, is this really happening? Like, one, why am I still awake? Two, why are
Right.
you still awake? Right. And Jocelyn had brought everybody home, and then she crashed. She just bailed on me.
That's
right.
smart.
Yeah. Well, I know what happened. They earlier in the night at about 9:00, they had tried, I was like, what are y'all doing? I walked in. They had all the eggs, all the flour. The whole floor of my kitchen was covered in flour and oil.
geez.
I should have taken a picture. I'm like, are y'all cooking? What are y'all cooking? And Anna Joe's like, we're making edible slime. They're watching a YouTube video.
Oh.
And they were just trying to make slime that they could play with and then eat. And I'm like, no, like they'd already made it. So they were throwing it on the floor and up at the ceiling. I'm like, stop it.
Oh
So I'd already cleaned up all the slime. Well, I think Jocelyn saw that and she just went, do, 2 steps back and just like bailed on me. Like, so I got stuck doing that. But anyway, it's like there is no, especially with COVID, there's no lines anymore.
Yeah.
Like they're worse than they were back in February. It's just blurred now, you know, because you feel so guilty because what are your kids thinking about all this? And then like you're trying to spend time with them. You're trying to, I don't know, man. It's just a really, really tough time right now.
It is, yeah. And I had like somebody who was coming and watching the girls for a few hours, a couple days, so I could go do my work. But now they're in school, so I'm trying to figure that out. Like, I just need the focused time.
Yeah.
And but really, it's more like my mental, just trying to get it all organized, because I don't have fears about like. And, you know, I used to struggle with imposter syndrome. I don't really so much anymore. Like, I know that comes and goes occasionally, but like right now I'm feeling really excited about it. And really my overwhelm is all just about scheduling and like, and getting the time.
Well, let's talk about this. The easiest way to do this is to remove the kids. Imagine that we've solved that problem.
Right.
Okay.
So they could go to school.
Yeah, I know, right? It sounds so easy, but like I think it's kind of like working backwards through a sales funnel. Like you start at the product, you build the order form, then you figure out what's on the sales page, then you figure out your ad. It's just that's the hard part. So like let's knock some things down here. So let's imagine somehow that's solved, and we'll think about the timing. Okay. So when you say how many semesters total are there?
4.
So there's 4. So at worst, there's 4 cohorts of these people, right? At worst, that are doing
6.
different things. Why 6?
Technically 6, because there's the traditional path, and then there are 2 other paths, and so like some of them cover the same sort of topics, but not at the same times, or things like that. So it's it's 4, but sometimes the scheduling within the content is a little different.
So whenever I'm thinking about our membership at the beginning, let's say it's the beginning of a month, I'm always thinking about the community first and the live components of the community. Like what has to happen in real time. That's the easiest thing. You got to schedule that first, because you can work the other stuff in wherever it goes, like forums and checking Facebook groups and all that stuff. Right.
Right.
So how often do they need to have a meeting? Like individually cohorted wise? Right.
I have always in the past, which has been different, tried to do at least 1 live training a week. I don't know if that will necessarily be feasible now. Like I'm thinking definitely right before they have their unit exams, like we do a big thing, and then maybe just do Q&As, like, you know, or open office hours where they can log in and like have direct access to me to ask questions.
Yeah. And it's just, are your Q&As just help with material, help with what to do next, like advice, whatever like that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I wonder if you could break them into pieces. I wonder if you could split them. Like, let's forget the other 2 paths. Let's just think about the 4 semesters right now.
Sure.
And then we can figure out what to do with those people. So like, I wonder if the first and second semester people could be lumped together. And because here's what's good about that. The second semester people can come ask questions, and what's going to happen is the first semester people would love to hear those answers. You know, the first semester people are going to need help too, but the second semester people aren't going to worry about it as much, because what you can do is alternate. But that way you're almost like banking LTV and less work later, because these first semester people are going to pick up some of that second semester stuff, but you've not fast forwarded too far ahead to them. Where the other people are freaking out and they're thinking about 4th semester and all that crap, you know? So like then you took the 3rd and 4th semester people together. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
and just go every other week, right? Because you're going to be able to answer some questions in your content area. How do you create community? Is it through Facebook or is it a forum?
Yeah, it's through Facebook.
Okay, so they can ask questions there every day, and you just check it once a day or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
But what if could you lump them together like that, and that way it's separate, but it's not at 3 calls a week. I think you got to keep it 1 call a week somehow.
Yeah. I honestly don't know because their content is so different. I could for big things like testing and studying and things like that. I don't know if I could for the other stuff because like one group is like in OB and the one's in mental health and one's in like critical care. So like some of those don't cross.
So it's not necessarily like structural stuff they're asking about. They're literally asking like, well, when the baby comes out, X, Y, Z, like they're literally going that deep down the rabbit hole.
Or like this medication. What do I need to know when this happens to my patient? Like, yeah. It's so very specific.
Right. And but the point is so they can pass the next test, make the next grade, do whatever. And you're answering some of these questions for them like a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think then that won't work. So let's scratch that. But I don't know why you have to do a question and answer weekly. You know what I'm saying? Because your fear is you don't want all of them together at one time because it's just so different. They're not going to. You might not be able to answer everybody, and you don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's a conundrum. That's quite the pickle. Yeah. Do they really need your help every week? Do you think?
I honestly think a lot of them do. And the only reason I say that is because a lot of the time, whenever students come back and like give testimonials or thank me, like they thank me for very specific things within the membership, but they always thank me for the live trainings and the Q&As in the Facebook. They're like, those made so much difference because I don't know why. I guess just the way I break it down.
And you think that there are 6 actual groups, right? 6 actual groups.
Sort of. I mean, really it's 4. The 6, like I can at least, I have stuff for everybody so I can direct them to different videos that I've done in the past. It's just like not the live Q&As. If I were to do that, it would have to be 5 or 6.
Well, I mean, in that case, if you could I would probably position it like this. Like, because this is the only way to do it. This is not lining up necessarily with your avatar. It's just not working. So like what you would have to do is say this. I would do a Q&A that's I would do 1 Q&A a week for each segment, each week, each month. But I would say, I would really emphasize and retrain them to ask questions in the group. Right.
Okay.
It's like our forums. Like there's so many times I redirect emails to our forums. I redirect Facebook posts to our forums. So it's a retraining of, you got to let go of what you've done in the past. It can't count. Right. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be in 1 month, nobody will remember the past. It'll be the way it is. So like if you had first semester week 1, second semester week 2, third semester week 3, fourth semester week 4, long months, you might be able to squeeze in an extra call. That's an all call. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that could solve it too. Like, let's say you only, the goal of the membership is to work 10 to 20 hours a week. That's really probably your first goal. So like if you had 2 calls a week, like week 1 of the month is for semester 1 people. But then you could have an all call on Thursday. So now there's an expectation that call could be random. It could be anybody could show up. It's an emergency call. It's a whatever, right? So, you've level 1 people, you're sitting through until the 4th semester people are done, right? Like, but then if you had 1 that was focused each month for each group, 1 Q&A on, Thursdays, that was Q&A, you've now created a scenario where you only work 2 to 3 hours a week to serve everybody. And that's just the expectation. You know what I'm saying? And then all other things can happen in customer service, I think. Like you got to figure that out. That's probably on you more than them. You got to accept that. Like I can't do it like I did it before. It's not working.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's no way it could work. I mean, that would
you're going to end up if you're
unrealistic.
Not careful. You're 100 100 appointments a week muscles kicking back in. And you're trying to like, well, what if I did 6 calls a day, Shane? Would that work? How about that? No, that will not work, Brooke. That's why you work for yourself, so you don't have to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely
don't you think that would be satisfying to people? I mean, hey, look, I got 1 call a month where everybody's banned but the first semester people. and then the next one's the second semester. But you still have an open Q&A once a week, right? And
Yeah.
if you can get 1,000 people and work 2 hours a week on that, that'd be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be an
yeah, I
amazing
mean,
deal.
I think that could work because, I mean, like you said, a lot of people don't know. I mean, they've not been exposed to it at all, so they don't really know what to expect. They just know that I do live trainings. So,
well, just remember, as the leader, you're their influencer. You're their little Tony Robbins. That's what I tell people. And like you're the little Tony Robbins of the group, right? And you're the thermostat, not the thermometer. Like that's the membership owner sets the rules.
right.
And if you don't like the rules, like, I mean, I'm cool if you don't like the rules. If you come into Flip Lifestyle and you don't like 2 member calls a month, I might switch it to 1, and you may not like that anymore. Bye.
Right.
I hate to tell you this, but we've got it first has to start with me and Jocelyn. Like, if we don't set it up the way we can do it happily, we won't be here for you in 6 months.
Right. Exactly.
So you just gotta let it go. You just gotta kind of let it go and change the rules on them.
That's true.
Yeah. So why don't you just set, like, does that sound like too much of an effort each week to get 2 calls in, or
Not really. I mean, I was doing that while working full time. So.
I know, and with 100 other calls, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, yours is different, and I think it's the professional nature of what you're doing. When you're teaching someone something and they're not confined to a calendar, it's easier because then you can have a couple Q&As. People can come in and out and float and do whatever they want. But when you've got something, you're like, no, they have a test Friday.
Right. Yeah.
That could be a problem.
More challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's say that's the schedule we try for 3 months and see if it works. Like, why not?
Sounds good.
Okay. So what else now? Okay. So right now we've taken up a maximum of probably, how long are your calls? 90, 60?
Yeah. Like 60 to 90. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say it's 3 hours in your week is gone. Let's just add this up as we go.
Okay.
All right. So you figure out when those are. The goal is those definitely have to be scheduled when you've got childcare.
Yes.
or somebody's there to watch the kids. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay. So that's all. Okay. That's good. That's no stress. We only have to get childcare right now for 3 hours a week.
Right.
Okay. So let's see how far this
doable.
adds up. That's doable. We can do that. So what else has to fit in the schedule that you're struggling with right now?
I typically do live webinars, and I've been encouraged to do them weekly to get traffic for people to find me. So that would just be like a 1 hour webinar once a week. And then really it's just like some time for content creation. But I typically do that like early morning or late at night, like if my husband has to work late.
Right. What time your kids go to bed right now?
8.
Ish. Okay.
8.
Which really means 9. That's how
I'm like getting bed.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I need
I
my
forgot
time.
your kids. I forgot your kids are 4 and 6. Mine look at me and go, "I'm not going to bed, pops."
No, the 6-year-old often is like, "Well, the sun's still awake," so, and I'm like, "No, it's
go to bed. It's dark. It's dark.
Here's
somewhere.
your melatonin."
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, you're nicer than me. I'm like, hey, check this Benadryl out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Do not send me hate mail. I'm not drugging my children every night.
Hey, I'm a nurse. I think that's okay.
It's all good. I'm just allergy season. We're just working on some allergy season.
Right.
7 p.m. every night. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So the webinar. Okay. The one thing you got to do if you're going to do a weekly webinar is you got to do the same webinar every week. Okay. Mm-hmm. So are you doing that right now? Are you trying to switch it up? Are you teaching new things?
I just have a couple that I rotate usually.
That's probably good. As long as they're completely done and you can do them without prep. That's the hard part.
Yes. That's what they are.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. Are you running ads to them or what are you doing with those?
I have not been, but have been encouraged to start that ASAP. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. It's just got to be something that can kind of keep the flames going. Like you can upload your email list and you can have followings and you can pick an audience. And, it's just something, the steady stream you need to automate this as much as possible though, because, where you can block it off. Like I need 2 hours a week to reset the webinar and the ads. Like you really need about an hour to go in and set it all back up again with new dates, and then an hour to check to start an ad. And you just got to get a process that's really, really small,
right?
Which is totally doable in that. Now, another option here, which will convert a little less, but it isn't as bad. You could rotate. If this becomes too overwhelming, you could do a live webinar every other week and then you could schedule an automated webinar one week, right?
Right.
Like
That's true.
You could do it. So that way you get kind of the best of both worlds. You've got a couple weeks off. You can run an evergreen webinar all the time.
Right.
But what you could do is rotate. Like you could run an ad or something to the evergreen webinar while you're doing the other one live, and you could only do it a couple times a month. Okay. So if this becomes stressful, I don't think it will. You usually only need about 2 hours. So you really need about, in a week, you'll need 2 hours to set it up and probably like an hour and a half to do it. So this is about 4 more hours in the week right now. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you got to find 4 more hours, but that way you have get into a rhythm is the most important thing with this. Like, I'm doing it on Tuesdays. I'm doing it at this time because this time works best for me. I don't care about what time works best for my audience. They'll figure it out, right? Like, you got to build this around your life first.
Gotcha.
So there's your webinars done. Okay. When do you do webinars right now?
I was doing them on Thursdays.
Yeah, that's fine. What time are you doing them? Like,
in the evenings.
In the
no,
cool.
like the evenings after my kids went to bed. It was late.
Yeah. So. You're definitely a 9 to 12 person right now. Is what's gonna.
Yeah.
Like that you have no choice for the next 2 years but to work from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that's it. But that's good. So you can do all your calls then. You can do all of your webinars then. That's only 7 hours a week.
Right.
That's a pretty steady flow. I mean, if you count Monday through Thursday 9 to 12, that's 12 hours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, if calls are on, let's say your calls are on Mondays and Wednesdays. Let's say your calls are on Mondays and Thursdays, and you move the webinar night to Wednesday, right? That's pretty cool. I mean, you only have to work those 3 nights. The kids are asleep.
Right.
Okay. That could leave Tuesdays for content creation, like your public stuff. Like, what do you do? A podcast? I can't remember what you do. What do you do?
No, you told me to start a podcast, like, but I haven't started it yet.
That's okay.
That's on the list. No, I just do blogging stuff and like the webinars. I have not done a ton of content, like public content. That's one of my issues. Like, everything has been word of mouth. Like, I've never really advertised very much because until the thing was done, I didn't want to encourage people to go to it and then say, well, I'm in a different semester. You don't have anything for me. So now that everything's like kind of more fleshed out, now I'm ready to start advertising and like running people to it.
Do you like
everything
blogging?
Else? I mean, it's all right. Like, I feel like videos are just fast and easy. So
what if we did this? Like, what if you changed what if on Tuesdays? Okay. And I'm working on this 9 to 12 kind of feel right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can move the blocks of time around. So what if you went into, I think YouTube is probably a good place for you too. I would say nursing students are always looking stuff up on YouTube, right? Yes. And you're very charismatic. You speak well. Like, so you could do YouTube videos. And then as your blog, and then at the end of the video, you just embed it and maybe type out a little outline of the video for your blog post, and you're done.
Okay.
And you just get deep into like, I'm not gonna put any pressure on myself. I'm gonna think about what I need to talk about. Do a cool video on YouTube, right? You could have a video called "Your First Semester in Nursing School."
Yeah.
7 things you need to know about your first semester in nursing school, and then your second semester, and then your third semester, and then your fourth semester. And then you come back and go, the biggest fears of nursing students. It's this is something we're trying to do more. The public content is always fear and mindset. What's the objections? The private content that you pay for is the stuff you need to succeed, right? Okay. So that's kind of what we're doing. But like, look at that schedule now. So we've got one thing that we're doing is the specific member call.
Right.
That happens on Mondays, we'll say. Okay. Start the week with Brooke, right? Yeah. We create content to go get organic traffic and free traffic. And also, word of mouth is great, but why not give them something to talk about? Right. Then you email all your members and say, hey, fans and friends, I did a new YouTube video. Could you please share this with every nursing student you know? Like, you need to take ownership of making them share it. Like my affiliate program, the ambassador program. Right. Like we're taking ownership of I'm going to bribe people if I have to tell them about other people. Yeah. You know what I mean? All right. So that's the second thing you do. The third thing you do is webinar Wednesdays. We're just going to do it on Wednesdays. It doesn't matter what the experts say. That's when we like to do it. Right. Got a webinar at 9. Kids get in bed or I'm going to kill you. Right. Okay. And then 4 is what we would call the general Q&A. Okay. Now, the only thing that I see missing at this point is a really prolific promotion day, right? Well, now there's a 5th block of time somewhere that's more like, okay, look at all this stuff I've created. How do I run ads to it? How do I set up some ads? How do I, go guest on another podcast? How do I, do something to promote, right? Like all this stuff that we're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's 5 things, and that's 15 hours a week. And I don't think you would need to do anything more than that other than answer your forums and stuff, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
So we're staying in that 15-hour range. It's always when the kids are asleep. Your work week really is probably Sunday night is the first 3 block. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Because then Friday and Saturday you're totally free. You know what I mean? But that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's not bad. None of that conflicts with the daytime stuff, right?
Right.
What's coming up in the daytime that could now where could this get? Where's the landmines? What's happening during the day work-wise right now with the membership? Is it just you initiating and thinking about things, or are there other things happening that should take up more time in the daytime?
I mean, really in the day, like it's a lot of emails from students and like that sort of thing. As far as like the actual membership itself, it's mainly just them emailing questions or like, how do I find this or that sort of thing. I've got some customer service stuff, and then I try to, do content and stuff like that. Like when I have free bits of time, but that's mainly it. Like, and then as far as home, it's just like having the girls at home and trying to school them now. So.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to get really, really dictatorship on these blocks of time. Because and we are too. We do the same thing, but like we have a thing called 5 things, and I got that from I got that from when I was coaching. You only tried to teach a kid to do 5 things, right? Like if they were you could combine them in different ways, right? But pretty much for a defensive lineman, it's left, right, straight, around. Like, don't make it complicated, right? Now I can make one of you go one way and one of you go the other, but I got to make sure 5 things. And we try to do that with our team. Like we do 5 things. We each have 5 jobs. We each have 5, right? Like you got to say no to some of the stuff. Like the customer service stuff is interesting because I don't know if your kids take naps. They take naps. They still take naps. No. Okay. No, so like sadly. While that stuff, you're going to have to block throughout the day when they're eating, when they're with their, dad, with their whatever. But that stuff can be done in line at the grocery store almost. You know what I mean? It's like, you can check the emails, or when you get enough money, hire a VA to do it, yes. Not the coaching questions though,
Right.
Yeah. Do you let them email you directly questions?
Yes, they email it. It comes directly to like my business inbox, basically.
Is it a form they fill out, or is it there's something else? Or
I mean, there are both. Like the form is set up on the website. Very few people use it. There's also like a place in Teachable in the membership that they're supposed to post on their questions.
Well, as the leader, you're teaching it or allowing it to happen. Yeah. So you have got, here's what I do when anyone emails me a question. I get this all the time because people hit reply to my emails and sometimes they get back to me. They make it through the gatekeepers. You have to say, hey, this is a great question, but I only answer questions like this here.
Okay.
If you'll take this question and ask me there, I check these every morning. I'll get back to you the next time I check and batch them. Okay. And that's going to feel awkward. And that's going to make you feel like, oh God, that person's going to quit. And, you know what I'm saying? It really is. Yeah. But they understand. If they don't understand, they're probably not a good fit for your community.
Right.
So you've got to set that boundary up. I do it all the time. Now, every once in a while, I'll be like, I'm going to email this person back. But most of the time, I'm like, yeah, I don't do that here. That's not happening. Yeah. You need to go to the forums and ask that. Or someone will ask something in a Facebook group, and I'll be like, no. This happens in the forums. And that's why our forums are so active.
Yes. Yeah. I love the forums. I really wish I had that function. But that's why I have the Facebook groups, because I don't. So I normally tell them like to post it there or post it in that one little spot.
Yeah. The Facebook group's hard because it's hard to organize things.
I know. That's my beef with it. So
yeah, that's why we love the forums. And are you on Kajabi?
No,
yours
but
is
I was just
Teachable.
telling
Teachable.
Jocelyn that I have been considering switching, so to make it easier.
It's awesome. It's so much more. It's so much more flexible than Teachable, but also it's just rigid enough to help you not get unfocused.
Yeah.
That's why we love Kajabi so much. Like it's perfect for the beginner. It's flexible enough for the advanced, and it does everything you need it to do. And you can rig it to where you want it to do whatever you want without having to buy new software.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But we do have an embed in there. It's called Website Toolbox, and that's what we put it. I don't know if Teachable would let you embed something like that.
I don't know.
You know.
But
the problem with the Facebook group is you lose all that information. But let's get back to the scheduling first of all. Okay. So the big thing is, one, stop letting them email you.
Okay.
Take the form down and do not let it email you. That is a death trap. Okay. Get all the answers in a place where they can be found again. That's the goal. I don't know what that looks like for Teachable, but maybe we can talk about it. You might have to use something like Mighty Networks or Circle.io to do this. Okay. And the nurses are just going to have to learn, download this app and log in. That's your only barrier to entry to be able to do this. Okay. So we got to funnel questions to one place. Every membership owner has to do that or you will fail. Okay. You're going to be overwhelmed for the rest of your life. You're going to end up in the same situation you were before. Don't do that. All right. So say no. Then we find, block time that's probably 30 minutes a day. Usually there's not more than, you can have 1,000 people and get 5 questions a day.
Right.
Right. So that's probably where that goes. And that's probably 2.5 more hours. I think we're somewhere around 18.5 right now. Something like that. 17, 18.5. So we got a little flex time in there to move it. Like, that's it. You don't get to do anything else. You have to say no to everything else. Okay. Now we at least know, if I just would work Sunday to Thursday from 9 to 12, that's not bad.
No, it's way better than my previous schedule.
Exactly. And it's like, that's not bad. I have to be disciplined and not add new things. I still get to create content. I still get to serve my members twice a week. I still, these nurses are getting the help that they need. Right. The next thing we have to think of, which Teachable sucks at this and Facebook's not very good at it, is the experience of them talking to each other. Right. That's what frees you. Right. Do they do that in the Facebook group, or do you allow them to make their own posts?
Yes, they can make their own posts, but they're of course have guidelines posted, and then they do a great job of responding to each other's questions. So I really don't have to hit all of them, and then which is really nice. So like they'll go in and help each other out. I would not hit
any of them.
Okay.
I think you should stop. Your face looks so scared right now. Like if you're watching that, you go watch this on YouTube over at fliplifestyle.com/YouTube. Like Brooke just looked at me like, what? Like I think my favorite thing about what I do is when I get that look like 6 times a day. Like 5 of them are from Jocelyn and 1 from somebody else. Right? You just looked at me like, what?
Like I'm gonna say okay, but I'm not gonna do that.
You have to do it. You have to. Listen, here's what you do. Okay. You still monitor the group. If you see something wrong, you delete it. Okay. But if you will remove yourself from that space, right? It's like when the boss comes in, or it's like when the coach is around, or it's like when your mom's in the room. Like, you're going to say something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're waiting for you too much in that group. Like our community, we have a rule. Like, we don't answer a post within 24 hours on purpose. Now, after 24 hours, we have a needs replies section where we look and see who's not been answered. We make sure when it's somebody on our team spurs the conversation, points them to a course, whatever. Sure. But me and Jocelyn do not go in and we do not answer every question. I actually am only tagged in things that Carrie thinks is interesting to me. So she's like, Shane will love this post. Like, that's what she tags me in, right? But here it sounds counterintuitive, but the more you remove yourself from the community space and the more you discipline yourself to stay in the leadership space, which is your calls, the more conversation will happen, the less emails you'll get, the better the discussion will go. Leaders in your Facebook group will emerge. You can go approach them and say, hey, would you like to be a moderator? Would you like to be in charge? Would you like to be elevated? But that cannot happen with you in there. And if you are always jumping in on every other question and they're waiting for your answer and everyone else sits back and waits, they don't think it's their turn.
So I would challenge you not to talk in your Facebook group over the next 2 weeks. Only do live calls. And just see what happens. See what happens. I guarantee you it's going to be good. All right, this is not a free group, right? This is only the paid people are in this.
This is
correct?
only the paid group, yeah. I don't do Q&As for the free because that would.
Well, how about this? How about don't do that? I'll because that's too fast. Okay, I'm going to challenge you. What is today? What day of the week is this? I have no clue. Right?
Thursday.
It's Thursday. Okay, I'm going to challenge you for right now. You are only allowed to reply on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay, I can do that.
You can do that, right? That your face looks a little less scared now, right? But only Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that way you're not going to be tempted, but you feel like you're not going to be leaving them out in the cold. Mm-hmm. And I bet you the conversation gets wilder. I bet it gets better. I bet more people respond. Like someone's going to look up on a Tuesday and go, "Where's Brooke?" I might jump in, Yeah. Do you have anybody in the group right now that seems exceptional? Like they're really killing it and they're like leaders?
I have two actually. Yeah. That are like, and everything that they post, like people below them are like, "Hey," then they specifically say to them, "Thank you for bringing me to this membership." And so like they've already been, getting people pulled into it, and then they're helping to answer some questions already.
Why don't you send them an email today and say, "Hey guys, you guys are killing it in the community." How much do they pay a month right now?
25. Not a lot.
Okay. But it's early. You can do crazy things like this. You know what I'm saying? Are they fourth semester people or are they whatever?
Some of them. Yeah, those two are. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you take those two in and say like, "Hey, how about this? I love what you guys are doing. Why don't I cut your bill down to $10 a month and you be a moderator in my Facebook group?" And then when they get done, maybe you can convince them to stay on board. And maybe when they become maybe by that point you get 100 more members. You're like, "Hey guys, I know you graduated, but what if I paid you $500 a month to manage my Facebook group for me?"
Yeah.
So they're just doing that on the side to make 500 extra bones and pay off those stupid loans.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So like why not elevate a couple people now? Be strategic about it. Right now, just cut their membership in half and be like, "I'm here for you. I love what you do. You're allowed to email me."
Okay.
You too. But nobody else is ever again. Right? You see what I'm saying? We just traded two people for the rest. Yep. Okay. And go for it and just be like, "Hey, I just need help really on Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekends. Like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll kill it." And they'll love it. They'll feel good, status elevated, excited, and you've got
that would
leadership.
Be great. Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I think we just created a 20-hour work week.
Which sounds great.
That could be infinitely scalable for sure. We can at least get to the 500 members that way. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
That you're completely free in the daytime now to, homeschool your kids and do the other things you need to do. You'll probably be able to find 2 or 3 hours in the daytime to do the fun stuff, maybe build a new funnel, create a new opt-in, whatever. Right. But the core of your business is there. That's it. Yeah. If you just did that every week for the next year, what would your membership look like?
It'd be awesome. I know it would grow substantially because if it can grow as much as it has by just word of mouth, then I think it would really explode. So
exactly. You know what I'm saying? So let's do that. Let's jump in. And the cool thing is you get that Brooke's getting ready to go into Jocelyn's coaching program. Right?
Excited.
So now that you have a framework of when you're going to work, right? And you have a framework with enough flexibility in it where you're like, like anything extra, I can find those extra 5 hours a week, right? 6 hours a week. If you just do those things when we said you're going to do it, you won't be stressed anymore.
Right.
You know, and it won't take 9 to 12 to do those things either. It's like more like 9 to 11, you know? What time you go to bed usually?
Midnight-ish.
Yeah. See,
So
So now you can just carve out some time for yourself in the morning, carve out time for your kids in the afternoons and the daytime, and your husband in the evenings. And, the kids go to bed, you go put on a little tea and kill it. It's awesome.
Love it. Okay. Sounds good.
Is that helpful? Is that good?
Yes. Because, like you're right. It's the mental load of just trying to figure it all out. And then once you lay it down,
you're so overwhelmed
up your
with
mental energy.
Yeah. And you're so overwhelmed with everything you have to do. You're forgetting that you have the right to say no to anything.
Right. Yeah.
Like all you have to do is pick 5 things to say yes to. That's it. You said yes to member calls, yes to Q&As, yes to content, yes to webinar, yes to promotion. Done. That's it. You're sending emails and doing webinars and putting kids to bed. It's amazing. All right. So the next time you come on here, I want to be celebrating like 500 members. Is that cool?
Let's do it. Yeah. A year.
That's amazing. Awesome. All right. So before we let anybody go, we have to ask them, like, we got a plan now. What's your goal over the next 24 hours? What are you going to take action on to make what we've planned out today become a reality? Because you got a call with Jocelyn in 24 hours. You better get on it. I'm pretty sure you're on the schedule in 24 hours. So what's your plan for the next 24 hours?
So I am going to actually plan this out in my calendar, and I'm going to let my group know when I will be doing these sessions. And I mean, that's I feel like that's the first thing, and is letting them know when I will be there. And I need to go in and teach them how to get a hold of me, or where to ask their questions. That's got to happen.
And I'll tell you one more thing too is you've got to communicate this to your spouse.
Yes.
And you've got to communicate it to your kids.
Okay.
You've got to make it their goal. Hey, do you know why mommy wants you to go to bed at 8:00? Listen, I'm doing some cool things at 9, and mommy really needs to be. I tell my kids, we have meetings with the kids, telling them this is what's happening. Today, Isaac was wanting me to go fishing this morning, and I was like, I have podcasts on Thursdays.
Right.
That's what we're doing. Right. So communicate it to them ahead of time. This starts Monday next week. Okay. Right. Or Sunday. No, I forgot, because Sunday night we're taking Fridays off. Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. So tell them this starts. This is how it's going to be. That door locks at 9:00. If anyone bothers me, I'm throwing you out in the front lawn, and it's over. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Love it.
All right, Brooke. Well, listen, we love you to death. You're so impressive. You're so amazing. And I'm just so proud that you've quit your job and you just went all in. And it takes a great courage to do that. And you should never lose sight of how hard it is to make that decision. And to see your community growing now because of that decision. I'm just honored that we get to have we get a piece in your play. We're one character in the story of Brooke Butcher's membership, and I'm just honored to do that. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys more than you can imagine. So thanks for having me on and for all of your advice.
All right, guys, that wraps up my chat with the amazing, incredible Brooke Butcher. Man, I love being able to connect with all of these amazing members in the Flip Your Life community. And it's awesome to be able to walk the journey with them, to see them start their membership, to see them build their membership, to see them grow their membership. And just like Brooke did today, inside of the Flip Your Life community, she was able to quit her job. She is now growing her own business. She is now changing her family's future. She can give herself a raise every single day because she has taken total control of her life, total control of her time. She gets to pick when she works. She gets to pick what she gets to work on. She gets to pick who she gets to serve, and she gets to say no to the things that she gets to say no to. We would love to give you that kind of freedom. We would love for you to have the opportunity to start, build, and grow an online business, to make money online, to replace your income, to quit your job, and take total control of your life, total control of your family's future. We do that inside of the Flip Your Life community. Inside our community, you'll find all the training that you need to start, build, and grow an online business, to launch a membership site, to go out and get 100 people to pay you $50 a month, make $60,000 a year, 200 people, that's $120,000 a year. The sky is literally, there's no limit when you get in the online game. We'd love to help you do that. You'll be surrounded by other family-focused entrepreneurs from all over the world in the Flip Your Life community, and you'll be able to interact and hang out with me and Jocelyn. Us and our team will get you the answers you need in our forums and on our member calls to make sure you don't get stuck and you can succeed as fast as possible. You can have a 30-day free trial right now to the Flip Your Life community. Go in, kick the tires, try it out. We know you're going to love it. You can cancel anytime if you don't, but you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family's future to give it a shot. All you have to do is go to flippedlifestyle.com/free. Pull over in your car. Get off the treadmill. Stop what you're doing. You might forget. Just pull it up on your phone. flippedlifestyle.com/free and start your 30-day trial today. All right, guys, that is all the time that we have for this week. Hope you loved this episode of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. Before we go, we like to end every episode of the Flip Lifestyle Podcast with a Bible verse. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the Bible. You would not believe how much stuff in the Bible is relevant to business owners and entrepreneurs. And I found a great verse that I think goes along perfect, pairs well with today's interview with Brooke Butcher. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. The Bible says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." And that's what you got to do. You got to recognize there are certain times of the day you got to work on your business. Certain times of the day you got to focus on your kids. And you got to be able to say no to some of those things, or at least put them off till later. You got to say yes to the right things. You got to make time for them so that you can take action on them and you can become successful in them. There is a season for everything. There is a time for everything. Now is your time. We hope that this podcast inspires you to go out and make the most out of the time you have on this earth. All right, guys, that is all the time we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening again. And until next time, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Brooke, it's terrifying. It's like, my kids right now, they've got like all these like needs and emotional things they're dealing with, and they're crying on me. And I'm like, this was so much easier when I literally could throw you in your room and lock the door. You know?
Yes.
You know? So, I mean, it's like, man, so let's take advantage of it. Let's get to 1,000 members before that happens. Okay.
Agreed.
One more thing before we go. Thank you so much for listening to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. If you love the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, if we bring a little joy and a little happiness and we bring some knowledge into your life every single week, could you do us a favor? Go to Apple Podcast and hit subscribe. Download a few of the podcast episodes onto your phone. Apple's algorithm loves seeing downloads and it loves seeing those subscribes. And please leave us an honest review over on Apple Podcast. That'll help us grow the show, expand the mission, and reach more people so that we can help them change their family's future as well. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.